The big problem was last year, more or less at this time, because I promised the sales colleague from Tricentis, or at least he said to me, Andy, if you really choose Tosca, you have to present here. And finally, yes, we have decided for Tricentis Tosca. And now I'm here, but if I would have thought about to have this big room here, I would have probably not said, yeah, I will do it. But hopefully I can manage that. I'm a little bit nervous, but hopefully that's passing by. So thanks already for the introduction and welcome all of you. I hope there are some prospect customers. I know that I have already talked to some of them, and my session will give you something like a good basis for your future decision, and also as an example how you could, I would say, quite easy and rapid implement Tosca as a new generation testing tool in your enterprise. So just some words to the company I'm working for, because out in the field, somebody was asking me for giving them some chocolate from Switzerland. This is something what I cannot offer. Yeah? So I'm working for the Linde Group. The Linde Group is one of the biggest industrial gases producers worldwide. We have two big business areas. The one area is the production of gases, and on the other hand side, we have also an engineering business. My home base is the gases business. We are quite a profitable company, as you can see here on the numbers, and also quite a big company with 60,000 people around the globe, and with 100 countries that we have offices with. And yeah, so that's quite a challenging environment for application, and for application means that finally also for testing. So what I have prepared for you guys is, I would say, not really rocket science, right? At the end of the day, I want to tell you how our setup in the Linde AG looked like, where we started from, then finally, what was our problems that we have had, why I even came here, yeah, to having identified the need to transform something. Yeah. So what was finally also the drivers and the decision maker for us to go for Tosca? Then I want to also share a little bit with you the high level project plan that we have discovered so far. So when have we started? How did our pilots look like? What have we already achieved, right? And at the end of the session, I want to give you also a little bit something like lessons learned and recommendations from my side, right? So at the very beginning, just as a nutshell information, how are we organized? Because I think that's quite important for you guys to understand. We are in a quite lucky situation that I could already build on an internal TCOE. You have heard it from Wolfgang today. TCOE, old, TCOE, now new, digital. I don't know where we are now. I would say maybe somewhere in the middle, or let's say in the transformation process to the digital TCOE, if you've listened to them. So this team is, I would say, yeah, I don't want to provide too much numbers, but you can somehow count the internal colleagues on two hands. And we are supported by the classical GSIs, and I know some of you guys sit in there that supported us on that journey. So that's basically our setup, how we are running our application tests. So where we started with tools we have used, and I think we have quite an interesting application landscape at Linde, so a lot of legacy applications. Salesforce we have in place, 18 productive SAP instances. So I have an umbrella about 184 application. It was yesterday in my portfolio. So quite variety. And quite similar to that, our test automation tooling looked like, right? So we had a lot of code-based tools. Yeah, I don't want to name them now. You can imagine where they come from. So from the SAP space, we had one tool. We managed the web with Selenium, for example. I want to name them because they're open source, and we still use that kind of technology. Then for the mobile area, we had another vendor with a dedicated lab. So when I took over the team, that was approximately 1.5 years ago, I thought, oh, that's too complex, right? So we need to make that easier to manage, right? So what have been our key challenges in the test automation. I have highlighted here 5 points. At the end of the day, everybody from you sitting on the same situation where I am, you always get challenged by the cost, right? So test automation is nice, and if my testing guys would like to automate everything what they can, they would do everything because they like the job. But that's not creating that right value that it should be, so we need to focus. So finally, at the end, one of the key challenges is that I need to have the right cost balance in the test automation. So I need a tool that helps me to build quickly and also to maintain the framework accordingly, fast, efficient, and also sustainable. Another challenge that comes with this variety of tools and applications is resourcing. Now, I told you there are some internal colleagues. I'm quite happy. The attrition rate is 0 in my team, so they are quite happy. But at the end of the day, you have different cycles in your application. You have new projects. You need to ramp up resources. Then they go into maintenance, you need to go down. Then your release cycles, they are like waves on the ocean. So that's challenging. At the end of the day, you also want to utilize them in the right way. And having different technologies in place, that's also a little bit challenging because you all know, for example, there's quite rare resources on the market that can use UFT, C-test, and other applications like that. So that was one of these challenges, and where we said we need to find a solution for. And then finally, the tools that we had in place, when you look on their roadmap and when you look at their history, we could not really imagine that we would be ever successful with this kind of tools in the agile area. So we have started some projects, but teams were always running behind the development, and finally, the development is also not that streamlined, so you have some issues. You sometimes turn a little bit around, and automation gets damaged there. You need to start from the beginning, and you waste a lot of money. So that was also one of the factors where we said we need to have a more lightweight tool, that the development teams could really also use to maintain their framework. So that was where we are. So with these challenges, we have started. And at the end, finally, there have been also, I would say, 2 key drivers that drove us that showed me I need to change something. That was on the one hand side, my boss that said, hey, Andy, we need to cover more, right? So when I look on or show me how many applications you have covered from our key applications. And then finally I could count 1, 2, 3. Where are the others? Yeah, we don't do, and so on. So I wanted to extend, right? So we wanted to extend our value-adding cases for the test automation. And on the other hand side, you know how it is with budgets. Budgets do not grow too much, at least on our end, so they are quite stable. So at the end of the day, the challenge was do more, support more for less. So also a driver to change something, to do something different. And as you all know, working in an enterprise, the times have changed. So your release cycles, they get challenged, right? So in the SAP area, I could feel it now in the last 2-3 years. We survived with 4 minor releases, but now the guys, they want to deploy each second week, each week nearly new functionalities. The satellites around the SAP systems, they are demanding. And so you need speed. So, and with these topics, drivers for change, we created something now. We identified now the need to change, and then in the next step, I want to show you what have been our 3 silos of decision making. So why we have used or let's say decided for Tricentis Tosca and not for another solution. And I like to describe it always with these 3 blocks that are represented here now. So on the one hand side, it's about the costs. So it was important for us to select a tool where I am more efficient in creation of test automation. I need to be more efficient in maintenance of my test cases. You have heard it probably already 100 times, but finally, it is quite essential, right? So the cost block was a very important one. On the other hand side, what we have realized, and we heard it all also from Wolfgang today, is the focus to the left and the focus to the right. So you need to have a tool in place that is supporting your development teams, so that the development teams in your sprints are able to use and maintain, create the test automation. And on the other hand side, I also need a tool that I can give my functional SME experts in their hand to support the testing activities from their side. So that was for us an essential driver where we thought, and we have decided for Tricentis Tosca because the basis was there. So it was the right solution for that. And last but not least, technology was really also one of our key drivers. Everybody of you has the need, I think, to test end-to-end. So every company that is focusing too much on the SAP space, on your sub GUI, I'm not sure if you will be successful at the end of the day, or your business is really just in front of that. On our end, it is not, right? So we have drivers out in the field that deliver our cylinders. We have CRM solutions, and at the end of the day, your business processes need to be tested end to end. And at the end of the day, we have a nice application zoo with many animals, so I need to support a variety of technologies. And that was, I think, also, it was one of the key drivers where we said, we want to build on Tricentis Tosca on that in future because we want to have that technology coverage. So, but at the end of the day, if we have been now successful, yes or no, it was not only the tool, that's also something what I want to highlight here is because the tool alone is just a tool, right? So we have also changed the approach, and I've spent a lot of time with my test center of excellence in India to make them clear, guys, you should not be proud of 3,000 test cases that you have created. And you should not be proud to have an application enabled with test automation where we all know in 1 year we will replace it. That does not make sense. You have to search value cases, and you have to focus on the business risks at the end of the day. So we have a lot of examples in the past where we, to a certain degree, have been proud of, wow, 3,000 test cases. They run all the year without any defect. I said to them, guys, is that now successful? Does that make sense? Don't you think you have burned resources? So we have also changed the approach. So implemented this risk-based approach, supported for sure, and also by the tool. But that's also something what I want to highlight. The tool support is good, right? But the problem is in the business. The problem is in the business that you have somebody to say, this is covering now most of our risk, and this is the stuff what you need to test. That's not so easy. So there's also a certain degree of business focus relevant. And at the end of the day, I think this combination, risk-based testing and the new generation test tool, Tosca, is for us now the baseline to do more testing for the same. And that's quite an, I would say, high-level overview about our activities about the project, right? So I told you now, new approach, new tool. Now I want to focus a bit, how did our story look like? So where have we started? What have we already achieved? How did we bring that activities into action? Where we are already, right? So as Martin before said, we have been here. We understood a little bit more. We talked to a lot of existing customers and understand. It was definitely a driver for us to go into that direction. So finally, we signed the contract with Tricentis quite late, so December 2017. And honestly, I have to say also without a real proof of concept, because there have been constraints to use, to buy the tool last year. So I was a little bit forced to look into that direction, but finally I was quite sure that it goes into the right direction. And this is what you see here now, here on this plan. So, yeah. So you might wonder yourself a little bit about pilots and something like that. So we really decided to go, first of all, with some pilot implementations across our different applications, across our key applications. Yeah? So how did we do that? So we asked Tricentis, for sure, for supporting us here with the proof of concept. And it was not now an army of people. I think it was 1, 2, 3 colleagues that supported us, mainly out of India, in these different pilots. So what have we finally done? For sure, they helped us to set up the infrastructure. At the end of the day, not really rocket science, database, install clients, connections, license server, was not that dramatic. But then also really on our technical pilots. So I have selected quite some beasts, I would say. The SAP SRM installation that we run, I think that's one of the challenging things, yeah, where we really wanted to try to understand, is this more or less homemade solution based on some standards that we have customized a lot, supported by Tricentis Tosca. Then we also, for sure, did our SAP ECC systems, tried to automate them. Then we also looked into the Salesforce space to cover the web applications to a certain degree. And then we also looked into some pure legacy applications, and we said, okay, let's try to automate that because I don't think it will work. Finally, all the technical pilots have been successful. Yeah? We didn't automate too much, right? 3, 4, 5 test cases. Yeah? But all what I wanted to have is some good examples, how to build it up, yeah? And my team in parallel learning from the Tricentis organization or support team how to build it in the right way. So then we said, okay, good, tick mark on that. I was honestly quite happy, yeah, because it was a little bit stomach decision, and I would not have wished to say now, hey, boss, it's not working, so we have some problems here. So I was really happy about that. Pilot phase 2 was, we also had applications, many applications in the mobile space, so we did a proof of concept there. Then we also know, a very prominent tool from Micro Focus for the test automation, test management we have in place. So compare the capabilities from pure Tosca against HP Quality Center. Took also some time to really dig into the details. It was also one of our proof of concepts. And then on the other hand side, we had already existing SAP automation. And we also wanted to understand now for us, what is best? Can we use these scripts and migrate them easily to Tosca, more or less overnight? Is that possible? Yes, no. So we did a proof of concept on that as well. Then interfaces, we have set up Jira, mobile lab, we tried to integrate, and we also did an integration to Quality Center. That happened all between, somewhere mid of December until mid of March. After that, I was even a bit more happy. There have been also some areas where I have to say we have not been, there's still something to work on. So what we have realized is that the test management capabilities from pure Tosca, they are not 100% comparable with that what you have in Quality Center. So basically, I liked very much the decision from Tricentis to merge with this new company to close that gap. So ideal, perfect for us. We will have to look on that now in the next step. And mobile capabilities, that's also something what is very important for us. I'm not sure if Wolfgang will hear that. Focus on that, that's really key for us, and hopefully not for us, for many other customers as well, that we get that party now 100% working and supported. So that was our pilot. So what have we now achieved until now? So we have TA build means test automation build, so we have fully automated our SAP SRM tests, yeah, where they make sense. For sure, there's also still something on manual to test from a functional side in the regions, in the countries, and so on. But there's approximately 300 test cases already automated. Yeah. We have on the Salesforce platform already implemented continuous testing, continuous integration on a nightly basis on a DEX environment. Yeah. Jenkins, and everything. We also did a conversation of an SAP template where we had the automation already before. Yeah? We converted it manually because we had a very tailored framework existing, which was not possible to move from A to B, just automatically. So we re-implemented it, but don't be too much afraid about that. Finally, was 2 months. Yeah, when you calculate that offshore rate, you can, for people, something like that. It was not too huge investment to re-implement that. Yeah, and it was also for our partners and for our vendors a nice activity to learn Tosca. Yeah? Because that's also something what I will tell you later on. That resources, I think, is one of the key learnings that I want to bring in here. Right, so and on top, we have also worked on the Windows 7 is not correct, sorry, I did a mistake, Windows 10 automation and Office 365. So we've covered quite a variety of technologies already. I don't know how many thousand test cases we have now already running on Tosca and integrated Selenium scripts in the framework. So what's focus for us in the future now, to give you a little bit an outlook? We have to extend our footprint. Yeah? We have to go for more applications, more SAP templates to support them, to bring them into a standardized release cycle. We have to even more support our agile development teams, and we also still need to go further for our subject matter experts to position Tosca there, to enable them to support the testing activities. And finally, I also want to consolidate the tools. Yeah? So my ideal situation would be really run the most things just on Tosca. So there's, I think, just 1 minute left. Sorry, a little bit bad timing probably. So maybe the most important slide now. So from a training and getting started point of view, yeah, basically what is one key learning is when you have experienced stuff, moving to Tosca is not rocket science, right? You for sure will miss the one or the other experience, yeah, but my test automation team, they really loved it, they really appreciated it, and they also quickly moved into that path. And everybody of them found their way in the new environment, right? What I would really recommend you is don't think you can do it completely alone from the scratch without having Tosca experience. That's something what for enterprises, I would not really recommend. So get some consulting. It must not be 10 people, yeah, but you need some help to get it started in the right way. So from a people and organizations point of view, I still like my setup, and I can also just recommend it, that you have internally somebody like a test center of excellence that is supporting the testing activities. You can stuff it from left or right, but some internal people, I think they are really adding value. One of our challenges has been resources on the market. Yeah? It's like Salesforce, ServiceNow, yeah, and Tricentis, Tosca, name them. They are booming, they are growing. They are new, and this combination is a little bit dangerous for the resources, right? So you need to invest into everybody who has already experience and to drive them into the Tosca space. So last but not least, so I think last messages is from an end-to-end testing point of view, please do not forget, if you have SAP in place, you don't need to test only SAP. You will need to have a broad spectrum of technologies, and if you have a tool that supports that, go for it. Finally, and this last sentence, I'm really a happy customer. I hope I could transform that today because we really got great support. Yeah? So thanks for that. It was a very interesting journey. We have learned a lot. We have, I think, really impressive product of us, what we could hear these days. And yeah, that's it from my side.
Thanks a lot, Andreas. Really appreciate that you share this experience with us here.